All right, so Indianapolis Colts are in a tricky situation, considering that hey, they're pretty much done. There's really no hope left of getting to the playoffs. I was like, so you're saying there's a chance? Not really, but the bigger concern is basically what do you do for next year? They went all in, literally, with the Sauce Gardner trade. I was like to get Phillip Rivers to try to fill in, even to the point where it was like, oh, can Anthony Richardson get any type of being on any on field action, despite the fact that they probably hated that dude enough uh, to not really give him another chance. But pretty much with 2 games left, I'm like, what's the point? But going to next season, I was like, what do you do? Now, so I think they put themselves in a bind because by getting Phillip Rivers, sure that you try to they had chances in both games to pull them out and win, but they didn't. So you brought him back, and my thing was that I thought Riley Leonard played really good in the game where Daniel Jones got hurt. That he earned himself a chance to start the next week against Seattle. Now he sort of had enough of a bum leg that I thought they was like that they went ahead and felt it was good enough to get the pull Phillip Rivers. I was gonna say pull out Phillip Rivers, but we know that's not a part of his game. Um, but I think that it really didn't matter. I think that was really just an excuse where like if Phillip Rivers couldn't go, they're gonna go ahead and go with Riley Leonard. And that's like if that was the case, then Riley Leonard were probably good enough to go and play against the Seattle. But they brought Phillip Rivers in and put him on the practice squad, and I think it was too much of just a story in order for them not to do it. So they put him in. Cool. We seen what Phillip Rivers can and cannot do. I guess you could say I was like, what could he do if he had more time? But so I was like, so you got 4 options. No, you got 5 options. Really, I was like, really is 4. Man, I was like, let's go with the first option that really isn't an option. Daniel Jones, he's a free agent, so I was like, they ain't gonna sign him to no contract. Maybe they tag him, but that's a lot of money to tag a quarterback too. That's not going to play nearly the whole year. So, do you with this franchise tag him to basically keep him on the squad, let him rehab there? Do you do some type of wink that's like, hey, when you get back health, like, or don't sign him and let him just, like when he get back healthy, they'll sign him. Do you just sign him to a 1 year at a deal to just like to basically rehab and then check in the next year? Because he's not going to really play this year. Obviously, number 4, which they don't have a first round pick, but hey, guess what? This draft is weak on quarterback, so having a first round pick don't mean nothing. Do you go ahead and draft another quarterback? I don't really see why not. I was like, a lot of quarterbacks that I feel like it's going to come out this year, maybe because it's going to be a weak draft, or maybe people that went and stayed back there and didn't have a chance. I was like Carson Beck, Nussmeyer from LSU. I was like, well, I was like, you can't get a dude for Penn State. He tore his leg up too. But you get what I'm saying. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks, and he'll probably stay. But there are a lot of quarterbacks that aren't going to be first round quarterbacks, which means, boom, there's going to be second round, third round quarterbacks that you're going to be able to get. So do you just kick the tire on one of them while you still have Leonard and another veteran that you might bring in and other stuff or whatever, but go with him and basically have them start in some type of fashion. And the reason I said the draft pick, because you can still draft pick, and I said have a veteran on these other players. But the reason I said to draft a quarterback is because, one, you'll see my next point, but also, do you just go ahead and just start that guy? That's where I'm going to go. Because it's like, just because he's a second round doesn't mean you don't start him, especially if he got reps underneath their belt and stuff. Now, number 3, Anthony Richardson. So the problem with that is do you go back to Richardson, which I always felt was the plan, but Daniel Jones plays so well for them that I think Anthony Richardson was a wrap. But I thought that if Daniel Jones was like so lukewarm, that they would go back, that if there was a left of a losing streak, they would go back to Anthony Richardson. But they kept winning. Daniel Jones was on fire for so long that even if they losses, it was still not enough to go to Anthony Richardson, which sort of tells me that it was done for him. But now you got an opening with the quarterback. Do you just keep him to see if anything changed, anything matured? Does he do the things that you needed him to do better? Has this had a change on his life? Whatever you wanted to say. And I do, but I think at the same time, as much as he's a project, as much as he didn't look good, I was like, whatever people could say, like I said about this draft class, he might have a market. Now, the thing that you got to figure out is his market and his draft, whatever you can trade for him, better than what he is for you. Like, if you're going to get him, be able to trade him for a 4th round pick, he might be more valuable for you to just stick it out and just see what he has, or fight with another guy in camp. That might be your best route. But if you can get a 2nd round pick for him, or a 3rd round pick for him, when y'all done gave up picks for Sauce Gardner and stuff, does that seem more enticing? Is that more intriguing? You're not getting a 1st round pick for him, obviously. You're probably not getting a 2nd round pick for him. You might be able to squeeze out a 3rd, maybe. But is that enough? Then him being on your squad, possibly competing for a spot. They haven't really shown that. They seem like they sort of soured on him in a way that, hey, you might just want to get some pick back to make the team just better in some type of way. Addition by subtraction type of thing. Even if that means we're down one at the quarterback spot. I don't know. I think that would be a very intriguing spot. Like I said, I do think that if the pick is right for other teams will obviously call, but is that lowering that for them good enough for you? Now, number 2, Riley Leonard. Like I said, I thought he played well enough. We'll see if he plays any more of these games. I feel like they're going to at least probably play. Like, I feel like until they're actually eliminated, I think they're going to play Phillip Rivers. So you're not going to really get a chance to really see Riley Leonard. But like I said, I was like, he looked like pretty decent. He can move around. I was like, he can move around. He might be able to get you by. He's not going to cost anything. That you can use picks elsewhere, considering that you don't have a 1st round pick. To use that you might just want to go in the house and just keep it already what you got. I was like, get a veteran, compete, that whole thing, or whatever. I think that I like that option the best. If that was me, but hey, I don't get to make these decisions or whatnot. But I think go ahead, go young. I was like, go ahead with another draft pick. Daniel Jones is pretty much going to be out for the season. Like I said, they soured on Anthony Richardson. Do you really want to get another quarterback that might just be the same as Riley Leonard? That you got to teach the system, play in an NFL where at least Riley Leonard has been in a couple games. You already probably looking at a lost season in a sense. Why not go? Now, number 1 could be the craziest thing of them all. No, it's not a trade for somebody else in the league or anything else, because there's, like I said, like the draft, there's really nobody to really trade for. Kirk Cousins, no, because they might keep him because Penix is going to be out most of the year. I was like who, like Kyler Murray? You think they want to go through that after they done did Anthony Richardson? No, thank you on that end. Davis Mills for the Texans. Why would they do that? That's in the own division. I was like, unless you can maybe get a Jackson Dart from the Giants, which I doubt they will do. I was like, do you kick the tread on a Geno Smith here? I was like, yes. I was like, he's a lot younger, but after that, such a bad season with the Raiders, do you think that they want to go that route? Or do they just go ahead and bring Phillip Rivers back next year and try this all over again, where you got a whole off season? I was like, you get to detail it around him and his lack of arm strength, but his IQ. You play. I was like, you boast up more of the offensive line. I was like, you boast up the defense so that he ain't got to do much, and he just sort of plays enough. Almost Joe Flacco waiting for Burrow, where Phillip Rivers can hold down the fort, him and Riley Leonard, and Daniel Jones come back at some point, see how he does. Because the Colts do have a good enough team where they should be competing for the playoffs. Do you want to do that with an unproven Riley Leonard at this point, or other draft pick? You don't want to wait for Daniel Jones without necessarily, like, he's not a top tier quarterback in that way. Like how the Chiefs are going to be waiting for Patrick Mahomes. Do you just go with Phillip Rivers again and let him play after a whole season? You done already brought him out of retirement. His stuff to start over. Why not just go ahead and just say that's not in total vain by letting him actually play the year, or play until Jones come back, or whatever. Give him a chance at the playoffs. That's what I'm trying to say. I like me. It could be crazy, but hey, at this point, like I said, who are you trading for that you're gonna feel any better really about? I was like, you gonna trade for somebody and if you don't feel good about Riley Leonard, bringing in a veteran helps. What? You're probably gonna go with that veteran anyway. I was like, you gonna get a project, or like, say, like Tyler Bagent, or Bagent or whatever from Chicago. Like, who are you gonna get? Maybe sticking with Rivers is the best route to go, and come check in on the next year's draft when everybody's supposed to say it's supposed to be stacked. Hell, if not, if it starts to flail with Phillip Rivers, put in a young guy and just keep on failing, and then possibly luck into an Andrew Luck pick again next year. I don't know. I was like that. Like I said, I think Riley Leonard can surprise a lot of people, but I think that the Colts probably best chance, at least starting out the season, might be Phillip Rivers again. I was like, he showed that he could still do something for a whole season. But like I said, of the old veteran, Kirk, who are you gonna get? And that's sort of the problem. Nobody's kicking tires on Malik Willis. Nobody's gonna be out here taking Mariota. Nobody's gonna be out here Snoop Huntley. Nope, you're not getting none of that. Yeah, Brissett's already been there. Tua Tagovailoa, I was like, I don't think that's gonna be happening either. So anyway, what do y'all think the Colts should do? Who should they go with? Which of the options seem like a clear one? Maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. Anyway, let me know what you think. Till then, peace. I'm out.